Let's head on over to my Twitter here. Now, what's important to realize is that I tuned into Devin Nash's show earlier today, and he's doing the same stuff that I said he was doing earlier. Of course, I'm an idiot. I didn't release the highlight on YouTube about why I'm not actually really all that upset that Twitch's discipline is inconsistent, because the key difference between YouTube and Twitch is the difference between whether or not there's still a human component to what it is, to how these situations are dealt with. There's talk about inconsistent discipline on Twitch. People make a big to-do about it on various Reddit forums and things like that. But the big issue here, and this is why I say what I say on this, is that the alternative isn't any better. YouTube has more mechanical, as I call them, systems where there's less of a human component, and there's algorithms and automated systems that are allowed to do far more with less human checks on them. Many of the ways in which I've seen people abuse stuff on YouTube has been because of some automated system not doing its job. And quite frankly, Twitch has some of this too, but it's nowhere near as developed as YouTube. Not even close. Not even the algorithms are anywhere near what YouTube has at this point. Otherwise, Twitch would be a very different experience when it comes to discoverability. The question I have regarding Twitch is that when they develop the technology to start going after where Google is, how are they going to use it? And how are they going to prevent themselves from making the same mistakes all over again as Google did with YouTube? That's my question on this. So, you know what? I call myself a multi-platform creator. And then I turn around and try to keep things need to know. So, earlier in the week, I talked about this whole discipline system on Twitch and also the Safety and Advisory Council, which we have an update on tonight. When we pop the web browser on the screen, we'll take a look at that sort of stuff. But I mentioned that there was accidental nudity becoming a pattern on YouTube lately, or on Twitch lately. And I talked about 4 streamers who'd been affected by it. And then I was watching to see if Squad W, the Squad W crowd, actually got what they were looking for, where it was always the women that had it easier. So far, that's not the case. I mentioned, because it was in the past, that this discipline had already been doled out, that Alinity and Amaranth were my 2 examples. The 2 guy examples, you know what? There's no real way to keep this hidden, because I've talked about it elsewhere. But the people I'm keeping an eye on to see whether or not the Squad W folks get what they really want is Asmongold and Esfand. Esfand got tricked into clicking something on his Reddit, and Asmongold got tricked into looking at a screwball picture when he was looking at somebody's computer setup. And it's funny that I see these commentators come on here and they say, it should be... Now they'll say, it should be an even system. Everybody should do the crime, do the time. Everybody should get the same results to blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing. Without a human component and without any kind of human component or context, what you end up with is actually a lot worse. But I'm still, waiting to see if anything ever happens. And I don't have a problem if anything doesn't happen to Asmongold and Esfand, because they're not out there trying to do this kind of stuff. I'm more likely to believe that if they do it, that it's an honest mistake. Oh, is that because they're guys? No, because unfortunately it looks like Pokimane had something like that happen today as well. It's funny, I'll hear commentators talk about Twitch isn't consistent because they focus on context and stuff. They should, it should be all even. It should be all the same. And then they turn around and then they start complaining about, well, this is creating a cat and mouse game for trolls. People want to troll somebody and try and get them banned. They try and pop up TOS stuff on the screen. Yep. And so if you don't have a human component to your disciplinary system, how do you tell the difference between this person got trolled, needs to ban a couple of people, and this person is going for a publicity stunt? They're going to bend the rules and they're malicious. Business has been asking this question for a very long time. So, again, as I've heard from human resource folks over the years who've had to deal with this stuff and they've been stressed about it and vented sometimes, it's all about looking for a pattern of abuse. If you have somebody who has an attendance problem, and it's because they're always calling off on Fridays to go out and get drunk with their friends, you want to address that because it's a pattern. And, big business has some answers to some of these things that Twitch is doing. I'm actually very surprised that Amazon isn't more involved in this whole mess. I don't know what kind of autonomy they're giving their subsidiary here, but there should be some more big business influence to try and, bring Twitch into the situation where they can go along with the team and compete against Google. Because Google, if Google would stop tripping over their own feet with what's going on with YouTube, there'd be much more aggressive competition going on. But again, if the discipline system on Twitch is inconsistent, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that as long as I know there's a human component in there and that they are looking at context. And that if I had all the need-to-know information, I would know why they made the decisions they made, but for privacy reasons, they choose not to disclose that information, which is very professional to do, by the way. Very standard out there in the business world to not blabber out personal details or even details about job performance. In some cases, companies will do that because there's activist lawyers out there that like suing companies for things like that. But that's a completely different discussion. Now, let's talk about this context thing. So, if you have a human component to your discipline system, then context matters. And you can look at what have they done? Was this an honest mistake, or do they have a reputation for trying to pull stunts for publicity or trying to be malicious? Or in the case of Twitch, with their special policy regarding off-platform conduct, are they acting a certain way on another platform to hide malicious whatever it was that's related to their involvement on Twitch? Which is another thing I agree with too, because it's not hard for people to be on multiple platforms and blast one platform from the other. Quite frankly, Twitch should take that into account with regards to doling out discipline. But when I look at, for example, and I mentioned this earlier today on Twitter, and then I retweeted 2 tweets from 2 Twitch streamers showing this behavior difference. When you look at the difference between Alinity and Pokimane and how they're handling things off-platform, that's what I'm talking about with the context of things. So I retweeted Alinity's flame baiting thing. I'm getting a suspension, yes! Hardware. I know that's a bunch of really bitter sarcasm, but come on, you have flame baiting versus somebody who's known for being a lot more mellow, a lot more wholesome, who just says good vibes only, and just keeps it mellow and friendly and stuff versus trying to start a fight over something. It's just, you can't compare that kind of stuff. You just can't. So, it's true that one of the things that makes things complicated about dealing with people is that you can't get inside everybody's head and know what all their thoughts and motives are. But in terms of what people do and stuff like that, that's the sort of stuff that Twitch has to see if they can work with. And quite frankly, if the discipline system has a human component, I still think it's for the best. So, let's get that off my screen. Whatever that was. Right. Now, here's what happens when you have the opposite. No longer interested in streaming on YouTube, Twitch commentators take notice. This is what a system that's too mechanical and doesn't have enough of a human factor looks like. Forward, I did an @ to Trainwrecks and Devon. Whether they do anything is up to them. But this is a little response from Team YouTube. From a YouTuber, he goes by Super GT on there. He does videos about driving games. I subscribed to his channel when I was playing Forza Horizon 4 for the first time and looking for YouTubers that were commenting on the game and stuff like that, or doing videos about it. This is not some itty-bitty dude with a YouTube channel. This is actually a pretty serious YouTube gamer. YouTube responds, it's possible the live stream was flagged by automated systems as potentially violating guidelines. It may not show up in search, subs feed, etc. before it's reviewed. Due to COVID-19's impact on our workforce, these reviews are taking longer. That's what they've had and stuff like that from the beginning. However, let's look at the thread here. You just click over to this. You go up to the top. Been growing very disillusioned with YouTube live streaming recently. Most of my streams don't even get shown to my subscribers anymore. Imagine working all day on a stream for it to not get shown to anyone. YouTube creators, what the hell is going on? So, I'm curious how a sim racing live stream could possibly be flagged for violating guidelines. But that's the thing. What matters here is the concept of what's in play here. What matters here is the concept. Let's just go to his Twitter here. See? I'm mowing at racing games on the internet. Semi-competent kart racer. How exposed you to having a sim racing YouTuber? Please enter a valid job. But yeah, I follow this guy over on YouTube, and he does videos about various racing games and stuff. But what we have here is a situation. We just go all the way back to my original tweet here. What we have here is a situation where automated systems, let's back it up. I'm trying to zoom in here. There we go. Now, make it nice and big. Here is exactly what I'm talking about. I don't even want to say man in the middle, because that could be, in IT, that's actually a network attack. But if you want to use the old monkey in the middle phrase here, what we have here is a situation where something happened in some system somewhere, even though the guy's playing driving games and racing games. So, but what we also have here is an example of exactly what I was talking about. You have a system in the middle of everything that determines whether your content goes anywhere on YouTube. So you have a system, and that system can make mistakes. And when that system makes mistakes, nothing you do is going to matter. Again, your content goes nowhere on YouTube unless the algorithms and the systems and everything let you go somewhere with your content. You don't get views unless YouTube gives them to you. There's no real way to earn anything over there. So the people that give people advice about how to grow their channels and stuff, that's true until you talk about the wild card that is YouTube's automated systems. And this is what happens when you don't have a human component to this. Now, there's going to be human review, I'll bet. That's going to be slowed down because of the pandemic and everything. There's probably going to be a human component to getting this resolved. However, this was a automated system that got in the way of somebody's ability for their content to amount to anything. Exactly what I was talking about. And this is an example of what happens when the human component isn't there. And you have some automated system making or breaking you on a very popular platform that's often cited by people as, oh yeah, it's an evergreen platform. Put YouTube videos on YouTube so your stream can grow on Twitch. No. It's not going to happen if the system doesn't give you the traffic. That's the issue here. And you know what? It's not just on the internet either. You think about something as simple as getting a job. We give people the impression by telling people, get some skills, get a career, get a degree, that there's some way to earn a job, that just by working hard enough you earn stuff, but you don't earn anything in many cases. It is nepotism. Someone else has to decide to give it to you. You'll be the most qualified person in the world for an opening at some company somewhere. The human resource people and the managers have to decide to give you the job. There's nothing you can do that's going to get you that job. They have to be the ones to decide, we're onboarding this person. And the same thing is true with other stuff as well. Promotions? Oh, nepotism, blah, blah, blah. Yep, that's the way it works. People are people. They make decisions on people. So you don't automatically get promoted unless it's part of the system, in which case a human being decided that at some point that was going to be in the SOPs or whatever, but you don't automatically get promoted. Somebody has to decide that you're getting promoted. Someone has to give you the promotion. So it's all part of waking up from the great lie of life that we're in control of our own destiny everywhere we go, when the fact remains human beings are way more interdependent upon other human beings than many people would care to admit. And a lot of us don't want to talk about this kind of stuff because it hurts our egos and it hurts our pride to say that there's ever a time when our well-being or our ability to have a career or something along those lines is dependent upon somebody else and there's nothing I can do about it. It's scary, quite frankly, but it's reality. That's what we have to work with. So, something to keep in mind when you encounter these people that are trying to tell you, if you do this, your channel's going to grow. If you do that, your channel's going to grow. No. Cut aside all the sales pitches, open up your analytics, look for patterns, learn a few things about statistics, learn about statistical significance and some other things that help you interpret graphs better, and look for yourselves at what is getting you what you're looking for, whether it's views, comments, likes, ad revenue, whatever it is. What we have here is just a great example that, yes, it is possible for a system completely unrelated to anything you can do about it can completely stop your content from going anywhere on YouTube. Now, Twitch people, do you want this on Twitch? Whether for the ability to grow a stream or keep a stream big, or when it comes to disciplinary stuff, do you really want the system to be that automatic? So, another important side note to this, again, like I mentioned before, when you have a situation where a system is quid pro quo like that, this for that, eye for an eye or whatever it is, when you have a situation where a system is like that, like a discipline system, it's easier to abuse. So, this arms race between people trying to troll streamers into getting banned and everything else, and the streamers trying to prevent themselves from getting banned, it exists because the system is abusable like that, or there's any component whatsoever of quid pro quo. So someone can trick you into getting banned or something, and it's in the TOS, by the way, that Twitch's arse is covered. You're responsible for what you stream. But it's become such a part of the Twitch culture to have things like TTS and pop-ups and all kinds of other stuff like that. It's become part of all of this. It's become part of all of this that happens on here. That to take a few steps back to eliminate a lot of these avenues of abuse that people can use to get people they don't like kicked off the platform, is that something that streamers are really going to want to do? Folks, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So, sorry folks, that's just not the way it works. And so again, I'll keep saying this as long as I have to. These people that are complaining about Twitch's inconsistent discipline, ask yourself if what you're asking for is what you really want, or are you just angry because of the results of the current system? I think it's the latter.